Do you have the time to listen to me whine about nothing and everything all at once?
Hi everyone, I'm Aaron.
I'm Chad.
And welcome to our episode of Screen Day. And the applause.
The applause. Very nice. Golf clap.
All right, so what's been going on, buddy?
Not much. I got to tell you, I'm pretty excited about today's episode. So,
why's that?
Well, we'll get into what it's about here in a little bit.
Sexy good looks?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm definitely turned on by Alex.
Yeah.
So
Is it from, he's from Alabama?
It's the draw.
It's the draw. Yeah, there you go.
It's Roll Tide. The way he says Roll Tide.
Season.
It is.
I bet he's kind of into that.
I bet he's not happy this year. I mean, they lost their legendary coach and they replaced him with somebody less legendary.
But the good news is they got a lot of money though, so they can throw a lot of money at the program.
It is the only thing going in Alabama.
Yeah.
So I am super excited about our conversation today. But otherwise, what have you been seeing going on? What's going on that you're seeing out there in the real world?
In the real world, I'm seeing printing finally start to pick up again.
Yeah.
It was brutal there for a while.
Yeah, our shop has boomed as well. It's been about 2 months now that it's been pretty hot and heavy, which has been good. We had a very slow spring, even into late spring, which is rare for us. So it's nice to see it turn around. I don't know what brought that on, but
I'll take it.
Yeah,
I'll take it.
We'll keep it. Yep.
So yeah, I've been doing a lot of traveling. So
yeah,
being on the road a lot
sucks.
Is really not.
It's not good times.
It's really not what it's cracked up to.
Yeah.
It's not as glamorous as.
It's not as awesome as when you're 20, right?
Actually, it's true. Yeah. It's true. When you're young and dumb and you're just traveling all over the place, it's fun. But as we get a little older, a little wiser.
And we need our therapeutic pillow.
Exactly. My neck hurts so damn bad from traveling the last 2 weeks. It's god awful. But no, it's I guess as you get older too, you miss the family a little bit. So yeah. Yep. But it's been good though, because it's the one thing I've been really impressed with as I'm going out and doing. I've been doing quite a bit of consulting work lately. Is everyone's openness to go get to the point where they're going, I need help, right? Where we're doing this, but we're not making as much money as we should be making. So what are we doing wrong? Like, where's the hitch in our giddy up? And I think for companies to get to that point and then open themselves up to learning, I love that. I think it's an awesome.
So do you remember when we first met? We were talking about inks, and I believe you were still with Monarch at the time, and I was just asking you, like, why? Why do screen printers use what they use? Why are they doing what they do? And the answer is, inevitably, if you talk to somebody in the screen printing industry, it's like, well, that's what we've always done.
Yep.
Like, I hate to tell you, people, we got indoor plumbing now. I mean, we don't have to crap outdoors.
It's a beautiful thing.
It's a beautiful thing. And, the screen printing world is kind of that way now. Like, it's changed dramatically. And like today's topic is all about some of those changes.
Well, it is. And I think it threatens, in a good way, it threatens the shops that aren't profitable. It threatens if you don't have your shit together and you're not a profitable screen printer, DTF is going to eat you alive.
Yeah.
And
especially if you insist on doing things the way you've always done them.
Correct. So, as I continue to preach everywhere, if you run your business the same way you ran it pre-COVID, you're not going to be in business long.
Nope.
It's your labor costs are going to eat you alive. And it's once you understand that, and that's really, as I get these phone calls and I go out and I start educating and helping and really evolving their screen print. That's the one thing I think that they finally come to that realization is that either I'm not efficient enough because I'm not making enough money, or I'm not efficient enough because I can't bring on more work, but I can't find more people. So because I can't find more people and I need to bring on more work, how do I do that? Because I feel like I'm maxed out. You know what I mean?
Which is where automation comes in. So in all honesty, just in screen printing, we've automated a couple of systems within the last 18 months, and it's dramatically impacted our profitability. And when you think about the cost to do it, it's expensive up front, but it pays for itself within a year or two at the most, 18 months for us.
Yeah.
Like autocoders and CTS machines and things where you just remove some of the labor cost in it. Well, $30,000 up front is hard because it's you're paying for all this future labor, but when you're paying in $400 chunks over the course of 2 years, it definitely comes back to be a benefit.
Well, I think that's where DTF fits into that whole thing is, which I think again, kind of excited about today because I kind of want to learn the same thing that, I want to make sure that my understanding and what the customer's experience is the same, right? Where is your ROI on DTF really this quick? I mean, how quick is your ROI on DTF? Am I looking at an 18-month ROI on DTF? What kind of ROI am I? What kind of profitability can I experience? I think to actually get the customer's perspective on that, or the printer's perspective on that, I'm really kind of excited to hear.
So I'm sure we're going to talk about this in the future, but technology has some duds, right? DTG is, in the grand scheme of things, is probably a dud now. It probably has. There's probably people out there utilizing it and making money, but in the grand scheme of things, it's not. It's not on the same trajectory as a couple of the other things out there. That's not to say it's worthless. It's just that technology didn't go over as well as people had thought.
Well, I think the main hitch and the main reason why DTG didn't take off, and the reason why it's kind of dying today, is, again, my number one expense is labor, and DTG is effing slow. I mean, it's brutal. So great, I can produce a shirt every 2.5 minutes. I can't charge enough. I can't
have somebody standing there.
I can't. I cannot charge enough to make money with a shirt every 2.5 minutes. Where, with DTF, even if I've got one employee, I'm doing 240 shirts an hour.
Right.
Well, shit, that's screen print speeds. Right?
Close,
That's actually not bad.
Right.
So, you compare that to DTG, which is, I'd rather watch paint dry. It makes sense now. Okay, I'm getting it's ultimately doing what I think DTG wanted to do, which is give me some flexibility to take in the short runs or the just in time.
One of the things that I look at with DTG is it's kind of like the iPod Nano. Right? Mm-hmm. When it first came out, it was awesome. It was the way to print stuff, single job, one-off print thing, right? Yeah. But the iPod Nano's obsolete because we have one on our phone.
Right.
Everyone has it. And so it's not that the iPod Nano was terrible. It's obsolete.
Yeah.
And that's similar to what DTG is. It's like a lot of people have used it and have had some success with it, and it served a very specific person. But there's actually, there's smartphones in the world now, and this is the DTF to me is the smartphone of the world.
Wow. Is that a quote?
Mark it up, baby.
DTF, the smartphone of the world.
Yeah. Who knew?
Who knew? All right, well, awesome. Well, let's get right down to it then. And so
let's bring Alex in.
Yeah, let's bring Alex in from AKD.
Nice.
Hey, everyone, this is Aaron. That's Chad.
All right. And with us,
we have Alex, Alabama native, Alex Taylor from American Klassic Design, otherwise known as AKD.
Nice.
Okay, so do you go by the acronym or do you actually go by the whole company name?
Well, you got to say American Klassic Designs with a K, and then you got to go through all that. So where did the K come from? And then we got a whole story.
Nice. What? Hey, I just want to
Alex, So you spell classic with a K. Where'd that come from?
Yeah, I knew this was coming. The originator, the former president here, he was in a band called Class with a K when he was in like college, and then that band is the one that started this whole thing to make band shirts, and so they kept the Class as classic.
Oh, that's cool.
Nice.
It's really cool.
That is cool.
Well, tell everybody a little bit about yourself, what your company's about, where you guys are located.
Sure. So American Klassic Designs, we're in Montgomery, Alabama. Screen print, embroidery, promotional products. We just started getting into the DTF space. We're doing that now in-house, which is awesome. We've been in business for over 30 years. You know, we started out very local. Like I said, there was a band of like 5 guys and a mom, and then it grew. And then next thing you know, it got even bigger, and we picked up some national accounts. And so now we print all across the country, and then still have that same local feel. So we still do your local businesses and schools and all of that, but we also have some pretty large accounts nationwide.
Okay, so just to give people a little bit more perspective on the size of your business, as all screen printers, they really just go by embroidery heads, number of presses, and you know what I mean? So tell us a little bit about the size of your shop.
Yeah, so you know, we fall in that category of, we've had up to 5 automatic presses before. We had 5 autos and 3 manuals at one point in time. We got to a much more efficient shop where we had 3 autos. They were 14 heads. And then the 3 manuals. We've got 3 6-head embroidery Baradens and a single head. And now we have a Mamaki TXF 300 that we have with 2 DTF stations that we use for a heat press. It's kind of a dual pneumatic setup we've got going on there. So we run about, we're pretty much in the $5 million revenue range. You know, some years it's just below that, some years it's tips the scale and gets into 5.5. So we've been growing, you know, those numbers. They obviously this year, so it's a little bit different, but been awesome.
So what markets do you guys typically specialize in?
Well, I think that the biggest accounts that we have, we've got some contract embroidery, contract screen print. You mean just like based off of you want to know, we're in every vertical market there is. I feel like we do big churches, we do retail spaces, we do schools, colleges, you name it, bookstores.
Is most of that through contract, or is that most of that in-house through retail?
So the screen print side is mostly contract now. It changed. And then we do some retail. Most of the retail things would go to the smaller schools.
Okay.
Yeah. Would love to, you know, obviously when you first get in this thing, you think everything you're going to sell is going to be, you're going to get the shirt, you're going to mark up the shirt, you're going to get the decoration, and you're going to do that, and you're going to sell it to everybody. But it's such a competitive market out there. You know, what we're really good at is the back of house stuff. So we're not afraid to do contract work. We don't want to, you know, spend nonstop in contract work, but we know that keeping autos going, that's the name of the game. You know, the less breakdown setups and the more you can do, the more money you can make, the more you can service your customers.
Nice.
Oh, for sure. Why are you itching your eye, dude? You know I'm empathetic. It makes me itch my eye. Oh. Can you not?
I'm going to smack the Alabama off if you don't knock it off.
Yeah, we hit hard down here.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, they may have won 1 or 2 national championships. 1 or 2.
Yeah.
Nice.
A few.
So, hey, I wanted to kind of preface this discussion. A few years ago, a friend of mine started looking at DTF, and he just said, hey, this is going to revolutionize screen printing. And, you know, I've talked to Aaron about it over the years, the last year and a half at least. And there is some truth to that with DTF. And so that's why we thought it would be important to have kind of a discussion about with somebody who's actually in DTF, using it in, you know, more of a commercial setting. It sounds like it's more commercial than retail.
A little bit of both, yeah. More
a little bit of both. Yeah. So, but, you know, I think that's one of the things where, this is kind of an up and coming trend. When you look at some similarities, it's probably like a similar trend to direct to garment. Let's hope it doesn't continue on that path. But
let's not.
Yeah.
Let's not. Yeah.
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 But those are the kind of things that come up, is that there's this new technology that where we can get screen printing, especially multicolored stuff, do lower quantities, and so that's where these trends break, because separating complex art and printing it is time consuming. So that's kind of why we wanted to do this podcast.
So tell me a little bit. So how do you feel like your business is going this year? Like, I'm not asking for specifics. I just mean generality. Hey, is this an up year, down year? Is it slow? Is it, is it hell hath no fury? Like the screen printer is really busy. I mean,
year to date, I would say that this whole year has been a transition year. September of last year, we went into a transition. We were trying to get a more user-friendly customer base that we were sending stuff out through shop management systems. So we moved to Printavo. I'm a big proponent of automations. I'm a big proponent of trying to use AI, chase sequences, things like that. We had a pretty, what I would consider an antiquated system before, and I wasn't even sure if we were getting real numbers through the system the way we wanted to. So we knew we wanted to get into the tech side and make sure we were upgraded there. So September of last year, we went live in that. So the team was like, okay, now we got a whole new shop management system. Let's make sure we got that, working. And we were already really efficient from the screen printing side on the autos, but we had 3 manuals. And we do a lot of little leagues around here as well. And it's cringeworthy, but we screen printed every name, every number, every sponsor, every bit of it. So we were burning hundreds of screens and mixing tons of ink. And every day I would walk to the back of production and I would look at the autos and they would just be humming, and embroidery, and it would just be humming. And I look over and I got 3 manuals, and those poor people on there they are pulling squeegees and they are doing everything they can to keep up. And you got screens burned with 6 names on it, and so it was nuts, right? And I would say that this year, from a team perspective, they had to kind of buy into, we're not going to go off of what we did in 1999 anymore. We don't just need to be, caught up. We need to try to get ahead. And DTF is that, right? And that's really, this year has been the transition, and now we're at this place where we hit this fever pitch of how can we say that we're keeping up or getting ahead when we've got 3 manuals and we're running the way that we're running. So from a pure number standpoint, we're a little bit down, nothing too crazy. I mean, I got a good bit of friends in the industry. They're all down about the same amount, but I can tell you June and July has come back. So we had a good January, February, March, April kind of fell off. And then now we're on that climb back. And like I said, we do a lot of schools. So back to school football season in Alabama, right? That's a big thing. We do screen printing for the University of Alabama and Auburn University. So, it starts to climb again. And I'm pretty excited to see it climb while also having the DTF in-house. So I hope that answers your question. It's been a transition year for sure.
Well, I think in general, not that your business is transitioning, but I think the industry as a whole is transitioning. How do you see that? I mean, there's a lot of, that's a really big bucket, because, what we're talking about from, just sheer printing to employees to, there's all kinds of things that are impacting our business or impacting the industry, but how do you see that impacting your business? And how are you tackling that?
Yeah, I would say that I could feel this pressure about 2 years ago. I was listening to the Print Hustlers podcast, and they had a guy on. He was talking about the Cobra Flex, and I was like, "What is this?" And he was talking about powder and all that. It scared me, and I was like, "How about I look into it?" But whatever. And I did, and then I did that thing that everyone's can do where you go, oh yeah, that looks cool, but we're not there yet. You know, we're not ready for it. So I kind of put this 3-year, hey, maybe at some point in time we're going to figure this thing out, but I don't want to jump into it. But man, you wanted
to make sure it was not DTG all over again.
Exactly. Well, exactly.
Yeah.
You don't want to make it. You don't want to do that, and not just that. I mean, at this point in time, you know, I wasn't a partner yet, so you know, I got bosses, and they had done it a particular way, you know, and I wasn't the one calling the shot. So you know, me walking in and saying, hey, I heard this on a podcast, we need to go to it. Well, then it got legs, right? And you go to any show, any print show, and there's DTF everywhere. And so then it was like, all right, you know, people are doing it. So, you know, is everybody outsourcing it, or is there a way to bring it in? And, you know, obviously you could tell that there was a space for it because it was growing so fast. But it was
in the early stages of it, it really was an outsourced thing, wasn't it? It was, you know, all through Print Color and some of these other big shops where stalls even. I mean, there were some of the few places that had access to DTF, and they weren't sharing the technology. They were just allowing you to buy, you know, the transfers.
Right. And, you know, so we started dabbling with the outsource stuff. You know, we started dabbling with stalls, Supercolor, and Ninja, and just trying to see what would work. And Transfer Express, and I'm just plugging all these people off, right? And then we would. By the way, none of those are a sponsor of this show. Yeah, right. Well, so we bring them all in. We bring it all in to try to see what we could do. And you know, I don't know if I mean, obviously you've all done it. You get those, and they've got different temps and different things, and something doesn't work out correctly, and you're not the one controlling the variables. And so that was kind of that initial tempting of like, all right, you know, if I was the one controlling that, then maybe we could really hone in. But, you know, and the other side of it is you've got, you know, from an artist standpoint, I'm sending stuff off, I'm getting things approved, I'm bringing it back. Now it's not right. Now what do I do? Now I'm delaying my customer more days. That's not, you know, I can't do that. So you could just feel that there was a transition coming. And I'm a firm believer that if we didn't change in the last couple of years, we would not be around anymore. There's no question about it. I mean, you know, because what's going to happen is somebody else is going to come and they're going to do the things that we weren't willing to do. And then the market's just not, it won't be there. So, you know, that was the risky move, but man, it's been amazing. And I'm a big, in this industry, I don't like to look at things just month by month, especially when you get into something new, because things just kind of hit in waves. But we've had the DTF, we've had the Mamaki here for 3 months. So I've got a quarter of what that's done for our business, and it's astronomically better than anything we've ever touched.
So let me ask you this: when you first started into this process, what was your expectation? What were you hoping to get out of DTF?
Yeah, I wanted to have. Okay, so at the very beginning, I looked at it like if the price point was right, we were doing a lot of stuff through Order My Gear for these schools. So you would have these schools, they'd create these, you know, fundraiser websites, and they'd sell 30 of them. And then they'd turn back around and they need to get 10 more. And they turn back around and they need to get 5 more. They'd open a store on the 1st of the month and close the store on the 15th and then fulfill it by the 30th. And so every month we're running the same stuff. So 2 years ago, it was, my goodness, if I could just bring something in that would just take care of the onesie twosie stuff, you know. And then it evolved to, okay, I hate when I set up an 8 color and I run 300 of them, and then I get it to the school or I get it to the company and they go, 8 people didn't get their shirts. And so now you go, well, I can't lose the customer. So you run to the back, wave your arms, and go, hey guys, got to go burn those 8. Well, we just finished that. Yeah, well, we already killed the screens. We already reclaimed it. Do it all over again. So, you know, because I'm not losing the customer. So originally the intention was, let's do that, and let's, you know, for recuts or fill-ins on the back end, maybe we can get close to what we screen printed. That was the kind of the pie in the sky. If you just get me that gets me out of a headache. But now it's turned into something totally different than just that.
Okay, so what has it turned into? So we've got our original expectations where it's really just going to be this, okay, I'm not going to lose my ass on reprints. And okay, I don't have to burn short screens for short runs. Okay, I get it. It's not really, I wouldn't call it a high volume thing. It's more of a, I just don't want to lose my ass to reprint these kind of a thing, right? So if that was your original expectation, what is it really, now that you've had it for 3 months, what does it really turn into? Like, what is it really doing for your business?
So 80% of my screen print will be DTF. And that includes long runs, anything that has to do with anything that I'm making that's retail. I mean, it's gonna go DTF. We've kind of made this pact that everything that can go DTF needs to go DTF until it gets to the point where you go, no, you absolutely cannot do that. Like, I'm not going to ever let the Mamaki print 5,000 left chest. But if it's a 350, 400 piece order that I thought we could never touch, right? And I thought it always had to go on the auto. If it had 6 colors in it, 5 colors in it, I don't care. We're running it on DTF. So all of the high color
Did you say 80%?
Yeah.
With an 80?
Yeah, for
That's
sure.
crazy.
Yeah, I mean, and look, the only thing that wouldn't is the high volume, low color stuff. Other than the high volume, low color stuff, or the specific time crunch, gigantic order, like, I mean, if I've got a 30,000 piece order, I'm not going to DTF that, right? Which I have those. But I mean, anything that's coming through the front of the house, it's going DTF. I mean, it's just a matter. I'm just ready. The customer has to tell me I can't do DTF. That's where I'm at. I mean, pretty much, and I haven't had any. I mean, honestly, I think that as an industry insider, we get spoiled sometimes because we're always the ones touching the shirt, right? And we think that the feel is all that matters to the customer. And a lot of times that's not the case. We're just spoiled because we screen printed for so long that we think that we can't adapt to this new feel. But I mean, walk into any Alvin's Island or anywhere, and 80% of what's in there is DTF. So it's crazy. It's here. I mean, it's not going anywhere. And, I feel bad for anybody that's trying to catch up screen printing.
So how do you feel like that's impacted, from a business finance point of view?
Yeah.
I think some people look at it and go, yeah, but I can screen print a shirt for, I can, in quote unquote consumable costs, I can screen print a shirt for 5 cents. Right. But, the DTF is going to cost me, 69 cents. Right. Yeah. So this is the argument I get all the time. Like, why would I go TTF? It's 10 times more expensive than if I just screen printed a shirt. So what?
Yeah.
I'm just
there's some truth costs, to that, but I mean, there's a lot more labor costs and ancillary product costs that people don't realize, like replacement of screens and stuff like that too.
Yeah, so that was the rabbit hole I was about to go down. So I got a couple old school reps here.
Yeah, right? I'm a version of it.
Yeah. So here's the way it works. So I got a machine that's in the back that doesn't require separations from artwork, that hits my colors 90% of the time. And then on the 10% of the time, it's simply just us trying to figure out a way to dial that in and get it there. Besides that, so I've got that, okay? Or I can take that artwork, I can go get that artwork separated. I can then have to go send it to the rip software. It's got to rip, it's got to burn. I got to burn every screen. I got to code every screen. I got to make sure that the emulsion that I use is good, right? I got to have all those variables before I've even gotten to the floor. Then I get to the floor, I got to mix the ink. I'm done with the ink. I got to register the job. I got to print the job. It's got to make sure the job's cured. It's got to come back down. I got to make sure that in the Alabama heat, that stuff's not scorched and sitting on top of each other and hot stacked and all of that. And then it's going to go out to the customer. Okay. I can do that exact same thing in DTF. And I've cut out 7 variables. Not only after the shirt is done, now I've got a bunch of screens that are sitting there. I gotta pay people to clean them. I gotta get them through my Ecotex, which, by the way, I spent I don't know. That's a pretty hefty price on what we spent on our Ecotechs, and we were killing 200 to 270 screens a day. I mean, that's what we were reclaiming a day. I mean, we were a thoroughbred screen print auto shop, and then the manuals weren't helping when you're burning names and numbers. So my whole thing has always been, yeah, you can say that screen print is cheaper, but when you factor all those variables in, the less variables, the better kind of guy, because then when something goes wrong, I can track where that happened at. You know, I mess up 700 piece order on screen print. I got to go through that whole rabbit hole. Where did we go wrong? You know, so did that answer your question? it's not
I didn't even think about that aspect and the fact that if I screw up a screen print job, I'm screwing up 700 shirts.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I've already printed on the shirt. Well, if I screw up a transfer, right? Great, I got to reprint 700 transfers. I'm not redoing 700.
You haven't wrecked the shirts yet if you screw up the transfer. But the other thing is that all of that's got to get torn down and cleaned as though it was done correctly, and then it's also got to be reburned as though it was done. You know, so you're doubling your labor costs on all of that, and you've started wrecking shirts. Even if you haven't wrecked all 700 shirts, even if you only wrecked one, you know, you're still at the mercy of which one of these 8 screens is wrong. Am I correct?
Well, you're absolutely correct. But also, we didn't even really talk about breakdowns and setups by themselves.
Right.
It's the number one killer of all screen print shops that can't make money. I mean, I set this job up and I thought it was right, and I'm chasing this registration or I'm chasing this color. Oh, heaven forbid there was a problem on the screens that you burned and they're up there, and now you got to break it all down and re-register it. So it's it's night and day. I mean, what comes out now on a 200-piece job that we move to DTF versus the time that it takes to set it up on an auto, run it, and break it down, and then get the next job up. It's not even in the same atmosphere.
So you think your lead times have shortened then?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we're 3 days. We're 3 days ahead of the curve most of the time, where things are already printed, transfers are already with the shirts, and we're just ready to go. And we were just in the back looking at stuff because obviously you jump into it and you think you can, you don't want to miss anything, and then you want to make sure that you don't suffer quality. But then after that, it's about efficiency. And we were looking at, what do we have to do to keep our people stamping and pressing all day versus, I don't want the person that's on the heat press. I don't want them turning around and stacking shirts. Someone else should be doing that and funneling that on, because the more time you're in front of that, I look at it just like what we did with screen print. We'd chase a number, and when I was a printer, it was, hey, this job needs to be running at $350 an hour. You dip below that, and we're going to be in trouble today. So, yeah, I had to keep going.
Right. That efficiency model is the key to all the profitability in screen printing.
Absolutely.
So now that you're in a solid quarter of it, right? Where can you tell how it's impacting your profitability at all? Are we more profitable now than we were?
Yeah.
Before we move on, Alex, I just had a question. You were saying that everything that comes through, basically starts at DTF unless you're told not to, right? What's the feedback from customers? Are they expecting it to be screen printed and then it's heat transferred, or are they? Where are you at on that part of it?
Sure. Not to preach about this, but I'm a proponent of, I want them to know that I'm not trying to sell them something that it's not and change what's under the hood. I want them to know there's a new method. This is the new method, and here's what it's going to cost. And it's it's super popular, and here's what it looks like. So we all have samples in our office of all that. And most of them none of them have gone, oh, no, absolutely not. I hate that. And they go, okay, yeah, that'd be fine. And so we've done it. And obviously I'm not going to ever try to sell somebody and tell them it's screen printed and it's not. But most people, they of my customers, they don't care. What they're most excited about is that when they called me and said, I would like to get 200 of these, I didn't say, all right, well, your setup is that times 8, and it's going to be 2 weeks, and it's going to be this and that. Whereas I can say, I can have it to you by the end of the week, no problem. They go, well, can you have it to me in 2 days? And I go, you know what? I can. We can. So I walk to the back. Now the guys, obviously, they don't like rush orders that much, but go to the back and go, hey, can you squeeze that in on today's run? And they run it, and then it's ready to go. And then as long as we get the garments here, we're good to go. So my customers have been more excited about the experience of getting their stuff faster and less hoops to jump through than it was in the screen print game.
Now, did you have to change your pricing matrix at all, or did you just leave your pricing the same and just go, look, I'm going to convert you over to this, or?
We changed it just a little bit. So yeah, I mean, I don't know how detailed we want to get with it, but basically I never believed the screen print pricing model. and I think that everybody, I don't mean to speak for everybody, but it seems like we would all charge something for screen print and think that we have all these factors factored in, but then we still couldn't cover it.
Right.
What I know is off of the supplies that it takes to get the DTF and keep the DTF running and the labor that it takes, I'm already pretty profitable. So now it's a matter of I can already match my screen print price. That's not a problem. Now it's, can I do more for less, or can I do more a lower quantity that I would have never touched? I'll grab it now. Somebody comes in and says, I need 20 shirts. And I go, well, it's the middle of baseball season. That's not happening. Now I can grab it. So price matrix wise, I think that we try to go through this, what's in the best interest of the customer, right? So my sales manager will come over and he'll say, hey, I would love to move this to DTF. The DTF pricing is this. It looks like the screen print pricing when we did that last year was a little bit higher. What do you want to do? I'm like, well, they should be really happy because now it's going to be a little bit less, right? But Then we have those other ones that may go the opposite direction. And we say, hey, look, man, they can get it 4 days faster and we can recreate it every time. And we're not chasing that yellow that turned a little bit of a different yellow the next time or whatever.
Right.
So, yeah, pricing wise, I think that's a moving target for a lot of people in a lot of different parts of the country. But it hasn't been an issue at all. I haven't been like, hey, I would love to sell you DTF. It's $5 more a shirt. It's not.
So really it's giving you more flexibility in your ability to get customers or have more gross profit, because I can go, I now have flexibility because, hey, I can do the same thing, but if I can get it to you in 4 days, are you willing to pay a little bit more for it to have it in 4 days? I'm going to go out on a limb here, seeing how most screen printers aren't going to be able to get it out in 4 days. They'd be excited about it and go, sure.
Right. Exactly right.
Nice. So sorry to regress on that. I know Aaron had asked what some of the, the challenges that you face with DTF, as well as some of the surprise, positives. What have you seen?
No, but I would say that's actually, but going backwards to where you went, though, I think that's really important for people to hear is the stigma of, really, I think it's just screen printers, right? If I go into a retail shop, I'm walking down every single shirt. My wife hates it, and I'm literally touching every single screen print. I can tell you who printed it, what ink it is, where, it's horrible, but I can do it, right?
Well, a lot of this comes from, I don't know were you ever an A and B paper person?
I was not.
No. So A and B paper, you're essentially, heat transferring, and you're using a laser printer to put your image down. Then you're applying an emulsion to the back of it that would adhere to a shirt, and it would peel off, very similar to, the DTF transfers. Similar, not the same. Mm-hmm. First of all, the A and B paper, the powder that adhered it didn't work on shirts nearly as well as the powder that is cured now. So that's a dramatic difference. But the feel of that A and B paper was paper. It felt like paper on there. and people hated it. And so they felt like we ironed on, it felt like an iron-on, from the 70s. And so that's why people hated it. And so when you're talking about this heat transfer, that's the stigma you have to overcome, is the A and B paper stigma, where they're like, oh, it's just the same as screen printing. No, it's not. It's not even close. But DTF is.
Jump down this. One of the things that specialty is anybody can go back at the DTF sticker and slap it. But we care about the feel of the shirt, right? And so that post hit is what separates the men from the boys in this industry right now. You can simulate a lot of the screen print feel if you know what you're doing after that original hit. If you don't, and you don't dive into it, then yeah, you're going to give somebody something that's going to feel a lot like a sticker. But we've got different types of canvas and things back there that we use on. And we've got different ones for different types of garments. And after that first hit, that second one, when it goes, I've got a lot of things. As long as it's not a huge, it's not 11 by 11 or something, right? Then I can put screen print right next to DTF on a left chest. You don't know the difference. I can put it on a back, and you almost don't know the difference. We might, but my customer would not, which is awesome.
So I agree with you. That after treatment, some of the canvas treatments or whatever you're using to really push that into the fiber, that definitely changes the feel of it significantly. The other thing I think is artwork. Are you manipulating artwork to get rid of background color and stuff like that as well?
Oh yeah, yeah, it's great.
Yeah. So that may be part of the secret sauce, and I don't want to give too much away if that is your secret sauce.
No. But that's definitely part of it. You don't want to just obviously the artists that we brought in, right? They didn't have a whole lot of experience in DTF either. So it was one of those things where don't be complacent. Like, don't be afraid to drop the white as much as you can. Don't be afraid to reduce the black, these different things that try to get the shirt showing through. So yeah, it's been awesome.
Yeah, I will say that's, I don't know if I've ever had a customer as giddy as Alex when he really discovered what the thing could do. Like, literally, he goes, so I can literally print anything off the internet? I'm like, you can literally print anything off the internet. So he literally goes and finds a, Tom Petty tour, logo.
Okay.
Completely, copyright infringement, puts it into vectorize.io, and lo and behold, he prints it, puts it on the shirt. And not that you would ever do this, because I would never advocate for
we burned it immediately. We just wanted to see that we could do it.
Exactly.
Wasn't Kyle wearing that shirt earlier?
That's right. Yeah, I was really giddy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
Look, I hadn't given much of my background, but the first year that I got into this, I was on an automatic, and the pains of somebody giving me a 4-color process and me trying to print a picture on a screen print, it would drive you crazy, and you'd work on it all morning trying to get it right, and then the skin tone wasn't right, or some color wasn't right. You were doing everything you could, and so I just wanted to see, like, hey, what's it going to be like if I just take this picture? Can I put this picture on it? I had a guy, he sent me something. He works on my machines, and it was an anniversary, and he had a picture of an older couple, and was like, hey, can you put you think you can do it? And I was like, well, send it on, and we did it. And he was, I cannot believe the resolution, the quality. And guess what? That customer, what they didn't say when they got the picture of them? They didn't say, but the feel doesn't feel like screen print. They didn't get that because they got the results they wanted.
Right. Yeah, they were focused on how awesome the graphic looked. Yeah, I agree. So to kind of wrap things up, tell me what's your outlook on DTF and its role in this industry?
Yeah. I think it's here. I think it's definitely going to be here for the next couple of years, where those that are jumping in now, I think you'll reap the benefits. I think that there is going to be a time crunch where if you don't get in it now and you don't start to master these things, then you're either A, not going to be able to get in the space, there's not going to be much room for you, or B, people are going to have already perfected the other nuances to this space that you're behind on. And that was our motivating factor was, what happens when, 3 of my competitors pop up and they're doing this and I'm not. Now I'm playing catch up. Whereas right now in Alabama, we do a lot of things a little bit later, right? But, we feel like we're a little bit ahead of the game, especially that we have it in-house. I think a lot of people are doing outsourcing. Don't get me wrong. A lot of people have been doing premium outsourcing, premium transfer outsourcing. But for us, being able to control all of that and get it from the back end, where we're going, and obviously Aaron's going to love this, where we're going is we'll have another Mamaki here. And it probably won't be, but they asked me yesterday, can we go ahead and get a second printer? And I was like, well, hold on. It's been 1 quarter, but it's coming. And then it's just the scalability of it. So I would say for anybody that's in it, whether if you're a small shop, hear me out. I inherited something that has been here and been established, and we've got customers that expect embroidery and screen print and all that. But if you're new in this game and you've got a manual printer and a dryer, and you're not trying to get in the DTF space, you're losing your mind. Go into it now. Go into it now because it's here, and your customers will be happy.
So yeah, I kind of agree with you. I think this is like, are you getting in at the bottom of Amazon or Apple or some of those big companies, or are you going to wait until you're paying $800 a share for it? But
right.
So I agree that there's some trend. What does that mean for your autos? Does that mean you're going to dwindle those down, or?
So Aaron doesn't know this, but last week we sold our Cobra. So we had 3 autos. We now have 2 autos running off of a double belt dryer. So we've gone from, at one point in time in 2017, we had 5 autos and 4 dryers, right? And so now our shop has 2 autos and a double belt dryer. But the thing is the efficiency that we have on that now it's perfect because we're not, those breakdown setup times, well, I'm not setting up a bunch of 8 colors. It's taking all day, right? And I'm blowing and I'm going. And that opens me up for more contract work, like we talked about at the very beginning. A couple of years ago, I'd probably be like, I don't want contract work. I want actual work. And that's the way I viewed it. And now I'm like, no, I can partner with some other big companies that need the contract work, and I can be the decorator now because I'm making my hay on the retail side over here on DTF. So it's what it means for my autos is right now we shrank to 2. Could I see us going back to a 3rd? The only way I would do that is if it was a smaller 3rd auto that could spit out some, like odds and ends jobs or sleeves or something like that. But even my sleeves, every pocket, every sleeve, it's all going DTF now. So I don't know why I ever would. Plus the price of buying those things. Have you looked at what it costs to get an auto right now? Have you looked at what it costs to get a used auto right now? And I get a big kick out of this. I'm on a bunch of these different groups where people are selling equipment. And I've had 2 dryers here that we've been trying to sell. If anybody wants one, please contact me. But every day.
Put your phone number right below for people to talk.
That's right. Every day.
Below for a dryer.
Right. Every day I see screen print stuff, screen print equipment getting sold every day. But every single day. And what it looks like, if I can read between the lines, when it says our screen print shop is getting rid of our auto, we're downsizing. You're not downsizing. You're doing exactly what I'm doing. You just found a more effective way to do it, most likely. So I think that's what's happening. So the transition for us is, it's radical, but that's how you stay alive, I think.
But I didn't even think about that aspect, that the fact that, by taking those multicolored jobs off of the bigger autos, that actually opens them up for more volume that they wouldn't have been able to capture. So your screen printing business can actually grow because you're getting rid of those jobs that were actually hampering your autos from spinning as fast as they could.
True story. 2 years ago, sat down with a customer. They promised me, hey, look, I got $1 million of business that's y'all's. It's all contract work. And I went, I can't take it. And they're like, well, why not? I said, well, I can't take it because I don't have room for it on my autos, because my autos were where my good jobs were going. You know, my 7, 8 color jobs, they were going on the auto. So I couldn't do it at that time. But now we had a conversation last Friday. That guy called me back and I was like, yeah, we'll take it. Because, you know, now I'm in a position to be a good partner. And before I wasn't. And I'm not interested in getting in contract work with somebody and him expecting to get something from me and then I can't deliver. Right. But now I can deliver because I've got the space for it. So, yeah, scalability on this thing. I mean, sometimes I walk to the back and I think I'm going to turn around one day and I'm going to have 12 heat presses going on back here. And it's not far-fetched. It's really not. I mean, you know,
it's awesome.
Off of those quarterly numbers, just, you know, I don't mind sharing this information. If you don't mind, this will help.
No.
So, all right. So in the first quarter of us bringing it in, we did just shy of $270,000 in DTF work in-house, right? Of that,
You're on pace for 1.1 million annually.
Just in DTF.
Yeah, just DTF. And taking out, we're looking at, we did $120,000 net revenue in the DTF area in a quarter.
So that like, you like paid that thing off in like 30 days.
Yeah. Now, if I had, so okay, here you go. This is another selling point. So for all you screen printers out there that are still trying to pay off your screen printing equipment, go into DTF now, so it'll help you pay down that stuff, and then you keep going. That's what I got going on.
Okay, so if I would have come to you when you and I first met and I said, your ROI on this thing is 30 days, what would you have said?
Well, I think what you said was, you said 4 months. And I said, 4 months? And you said, yeah, 4 months. And you said, but I think it'll be faster than that. And I thought, okay, maybe. But no, I would have never thought 5 weeks.
Wow, that's amazing.
Nice.
5 weeks. And think about it. I think I mentioned it. The month of May was slow.
Right.
June and July just ticking back up. We're not even in our back to school and our fall, you know. And so I don't know what it's going to do, but what I do know is that if, you know, when you can take those numbers and you can scale them out, right? It becomes much more fun to come to work and do business. You know, it opens up a lot of flexibility. You can deliver.
Oh, yeah. Dude, that is awesome.
That is awesome.
Well, hey, thanks for coming on and giving us your story on DTF. That was awesome. I hope you know, our listeners out there find it valuable. I know there's a lot of people who are on the fence on, hey, is this right for my business? Is this, you know, the direction we should go? You know, I also get a lot of the, oh yeah, but you know, I don't know if I want to spend that kind of money on, you know, DTF, and I just don't know. And I think, you know, what you're saying, I think, is it validates or at least eliminates some of the concerns that they may be having in the back of their mind on, okay, is this something I should do for my business or not?
Yeah. In all honesty, like, this is 10,000 foot stuff. I mean, we drilled down on a few spots, but honestly, I'm going to steal your number from Aaron and just give you a call and see if there isn't a chance to come in and talk about something more very specific about this. Because I think there's a lot that people can learn about DTF. You know, I'm an early adopter too, so I see it as well. Aaron is light years ahead of some of the other suppliers out there who are still beating up people to buy just cheaper, lower end machines because that's what they can afford.
That's the only thing we didn't go into that I would be remiss if we didn't. You know, so for anybody out there getting into this space, there's a lot of machines out there. There's a lot of machines out there. You know, what was most important for me was, number one, training and service. I needed training and I needed service.
Swing and a miss there, right?
No, he actually did great. He delivered, yeah. And so, and not to, I'm not sponsored by Mamaki or anything, but what I can tell you is that I didn't go for the company that had flooded the DTF market. Okay. And there are a couple of those. And I didn't go for the other ones that were trying to catch up. What I went for was the tech. And I knew that if you can match the tech with what we're putting it on, then I'll feel comfortable. Everyone else, they're not tech companies. Most of them are not there, and they're not in that industry, haven't been in that industry. And now they're, we can just throw this on a garment. And I was very gun shy about that. And I got a couple of buddies that they got DTF machines that are not what I have. And they're sitting there and they're not running currently. So we've been very fortunate.
Corroborate that. I got a friend of mine who bought a different machine a year ago, and he's the same guy that swore was going to change the industry, and he owned it for 4 or 5 months, and there was a lot of difficulties. It just wasn't producing the prints he wanted, and now he has I don't know what he spent on his machine, but it's basically a boat anchor for him because he doesn't use it because he doesn't trust it.
Aaron's
getting sponsored by Mamaki, but I am not.
That's right. So look, the thing that was great about Aaron coming in to our shop was that when you're getting into a new space, you're terrified that you're going to miss something, and that you're going to look up and you're 30 days in and you're like, now I don't even know what I'm doing, right?
Right.
Whereas we were so thorough on the front end, and we knew what we were getting ourselves into, that then we were able to embrace the challenge. So, this is not a race to the bottom. It's not a race to the bottom in the equipment that you get. It's not a race to the bottom in the jobs. If it's me versus somebody else and we're both DTF, I don't think that we need to live in a world that's like that. There's plenty of, the same way when it comes to selling transfers, just the transfers. But we don't short yourself on bad equipment. Get the right thing, do the research, do what's best for your shop, what fits your shop, and the Mamaki fit our shop because of the amount of manual work we were doing, the amount of high color jobs we were doing, and what we needed it to match. So, I couldn't take the risk of going with something that hadn't been around a long time,
Awesome. Alex, I gotta say, it's been a pleasure talking to you. I really appreciate all the information.
Well, if you're open to it, we'd love to have you back on at a further date, and maybe we can dig down a little deeper in some of those topics that we would love to drill down into.
Yeah.
Do you have the time to listen to me whine about nothing and everything all at once? I am one of those melodramatic fools.